You're so quiet. Has the coffee worn off already? Listen, what a fantastic way to start our day. I actually have almost nothing left to say because Prime Minister De Croo said so much for me. So thank you all for coming today. It's welcome to the 7th edition of Masters of Digital. How many of you have been here before? Okay, but several of you, it's first time. Really glad you're here. It's a very special gathering this year. We talked about the fact that it's a very special presidency as well, because we're so close to the elections. And digitalization is more important than ever to our future. Personally, I travel around Europe a lot, and I also travel globally for my work. I also work for Nokia. And I have a family that's spread from Croatia to Luxembourg to Amsterdam to the Western US. And I wanted to take a minute before we get back into the rest of our day to say how precious and how fortunate we are. I've been reflecting on how fortunate we are. All of us in this room believe we can have some impact on our body politic, right? We believe we can have some impact on policy. Is that fair to say? This is a very precious thing we have, this optimism. It's not universal. And I think it's really valuable to stop once in a while and appreciate how fortunate we are and how precarious it can be to have that optimism and believe that we can change things, because we can. And I agree with Prime Minister De Croo. The best is yet to come, and we can all help make that happen. So in that spirit, in November, we published our manifesto, Europe 2030, a Digital Powerhouse. Has anyone read it? Good start. I saw earlier as I was coming in that Meta had some statistic up there. Really encourage you to look at it. We have KPIs by which we should measure Europe's digital health in 2030. And we propose 20 solutions for how to get there. If you haven't read it, please do. It's an easy read, and it's very worthwhile. In the past, our last manifesto, which we published about 4 years ago, really had some genuine influence. So we were able to pioneer this KPI-led approach, which was mirrored in the EU's Digital Decade strategy. And we helped ensure that 20% of the COVID funds went towards digital, which actually surpassed even our good dreams at the time, supporting connectivity, digital skills, AI, and much more. If we look at where the EU stands compared to our last manifesto, there's some highlights and maybe some lowlights. COVID obviously led to a huge jump in the use of online public services. So that gave all governments a bit of a jump start in a way from wherever they were sitting at the time, and gave citizens a jump start. 2/3 of companies are using ICT to reduce emissions, which is a fantastic start. But again, we need to boost that quite a bit if we're going to achieve our long-term objectives. Despite being home to 2 of the world's leading companies in connectivity, R&D, and innovation, we are actually a bit behind both the Americas, the North America, I should say, rather, and a good chunk of Asia, and starting to fall behind India in connectivity. And you heard the Prime Minister mention how important connectivity is. And I always like to remind my colleagues who are in the cloud space, none of that stuff works without connectivity, right? So connectivity is critical. Having mission-critical, reliable, affordable connectivity is even more important. On tech adoption, if we don't accelerate our current trajectory, by 2030, only 20% of EU companies will be using AI, versus our target of 70%. Today, it's 8%. So this is an area where we really need to, again, skill up and so on. If you look at that percentage in US and China, of course, of 50 and 70% already today. So we have a lot of work to do to scale up our businesses and make it easier for our small businesses, including the data harmonization that you heard about from the Prime Minister. So over the course of today, we have several speakers, and we have several sessions, and you have coffee time as well, where we'll dive into a few of the major issues and opportunities facing Europe. They'll include competitiveness, which is top of the agenda, as we all know, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, connectivity, and the digital transformation of key sectors, health, finance, and energy. We need to face the stark truth. If we don't achieve by 2030, many of these ambitious KPIs, Europe will not be a major economy. So it's actually, it's pretty important. So we start to fall behind a little bit there. We think maybe we're a little bit behind there. But the world is moving fast. And it's so possible for us to lead, but we need to really take the bull by the horns and do it. I can't speak about our powerful European opportunities without touching on my personal passion, which is the single market. You heard a lot about the single market earlier today, and you'll hear more. I do encourage you to read our new booklet, as Cecilia put it, on the single market, a love story. It does a really powerful job. I really enjoyed being part of that as well. But we look at how a scale up, what they have to go through to actually scale up in Europe, and what are the barriers versus other domains, other countries as well. So please, if you take a chance, it's a quick read, and it's valuable to understand the barriers that companies face, particularly if you're in the policy sector. At Digital Europe, we're convinced of Europe's potential. We do believe the best is yet to come. If we can dream about the digital powerhouse, we can build it. So we've done it before, and we can do it again. But the time to act is obviously now. So please enjoy the day. Thanks for joining us. I hope you will take full advantage of all of the sessions. I hope you'll find them enlightening, and I hope you'll find them engaging, and to come back again next year for more. So thanks. I'm going to turn it over to Mette now. Cheers.
Thank you for that, Hillary. So before we move on, I just have a few pieces of info on some housekeeping and practicalities, and then we'll deep dive into all the digital. So I want to welcome you again. I hardly had time to do that. I want to welcome you sitting back there in your homes or in your offices. We're actually not just the ones of us that are in this room together right now. We are actually around 2,000 people joining this event this year. I think we should applaud that, shouldn't we? Thank you. I'm sure that a lot of you took the chance to take photos when the Prime Minister was here before, and don't hesitate to share that, share reels, share your thoughts and reflections over the course of the day. We have an event hashtag. It's hashtag MOD2024, MOD2024. There would be no Masters of No Digital without our dear sponsors, and I want to mention them. And when I've mentioned them, I'm going to have you applaud again, because we really wouldn't be here without them. So a warm thank you to EY, Accenture, Amazon, Ericsson, Johnson & Johnson, MasterCard, Microsoft, Nokia, Philips, Santander, Schneider Electric, Siemens, Sopra Steria, and not least to our media partners, Euronews. Let's thank them warmly and loudly. I already mentioned Slido to you. You can use that throughout the day if you want to share your reflections, and nonetheless your questions when we have the panels, just keep them coming. I know from the previous years that you always ask good and relevant questions. And it's just like we did before. You go to slido.com, you enter hashtag MOD2024, and then you choose main stage if you're in here. And when we get to the breakouts during the day, there will be an option taking you to the breakout session that's taking place upstairs. And it's pretty self-explanatory when you get to it. So you've already heard the Digital Powerhouse, the new manifesto from Digital Europe mentioned, and I think we should deep dive much further into that, which is what we're going to do now. I would like you to, again, welcome Director General of Digital Europe, Cecilia Bonefeld-Dahl. She's going to come up here right after this video.
What if living, working, and starting a family anywhere in the European Union was as easy as at home? What if every EU citizen had the skills to master new technologies? What if the next big thing in AI was made in Europe? What if governments and private companies worked together to defend us against cyber attacks? What if we embraced new technology to fight the climate crisis? And What if Europe was the place where startups could grow and become the world's biggest tech companies? It's possible. Here's how.
So thank you so much, everyone, for... the what if is the theme, of course, of this one, the Digital Powerhouse. 17 KPIs. It's all about measuring the right things, how we measure success. If we all measure ourselves on the results that we deliver for Europe, maybe we can get there. I just want to highlight this one also. A love story, the single market, and I'm not joking. It is a long-standing. It's 30 years of cranky marriage, sitting there now at the breakfast table, asking, "What did you do? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you take out the garbage? You should do this. Should you do that?" We need less control and more love. Much more love and much less control. How do we get back to that? Well, just saying, what if there was an organization that is actually present in all European countries, EU, but also plus, of course, Ukraine, Moldova, very relevant right now. What if all those countries actually worked together to build a digital powerhouse? What do we want to become? Well, we, of course, want to become the best skilled continent on digital in the world. We want to be the place where businesses can scale across border without any burdens, without any problems, and that investment is just flowing here because this is where you get innovations rolling across border. We want to become a unicorn factory. We want to create the companies of the future that work together with the member states and with the Commission to get a much more resilient Europe. On critical technologies, we want to become the continent that has the best connectivity and not least the safest connectivity in the world. We want to become a continent where we work together as one team, not like 27 different teams. It's difficult, but nobody promised us it would be easy. Private and public sector has been, floating apart. We talk about the single market, but do we really have it? It is upon us as companies to also make it happen, together with the public sector. Right now, we are maybe halfway through, but can we accelerate that? Can we actually create a digital powerhouse? 80% of the CEOs right now say that they are considering to de-invest in Europe and even moving out. Then we need to look inwards. We do a lot of good things, but still only 8% of our companies on AI, and it has adopted AI, and the numbers outside Europe is much greater. So how do we get back? How do we get back? We know what we want to become. We know what to measure. So let's make sure that we get there. Digital Europe has a major part to play in that. We are gathering the digital industries, not only digital companies, but the digitalizing industries, pharma companies, medical device companies, banks, defense companies. We have them all within Digital Europe. So we have a major role to play across energy companies, by the way, many other different types of companies. We have a major role to play as industry leaders also in making this internal market and the resilience of our society happen. So where are we right now? Well, if you are ready to take this crinkly road, let's look at it. First of all, a lot of regulation ahead. We had the Belgian Prime Minister saying the Commission has done an excellent job, But still, we see that the way that we implement regulation is not creating a very good situation for the companies. And we can say each piece of single regulations that we're doing is very good, but there is so much of it. And if you have 50 people and all you wake up is basically to talk to your employees, find out how to earn more money, you need to chase your deals, you are thinking maybe about expanding to one European country, but you're not sure you have the capital, etc. And then you need to comply with hundreds of laws, and some of them are overlapping. You end up hiring lawyers instead of innovators. You end up spending your time defending yourself, reporting on things, instead of innovating and scaling your business. So how do we make it much more easy? Can we develop technology solutions of compliance? Can we basically cancel the hundreds of, I would say thousands of agencies doing bits and pieces of regulation in each member state, consolidate them and streamline them and make sure that companies can go to one place across the board and know that they are compliant? Well, fragmented procurement systems. We say that we have the same procurement and open procurement. I can tell you that is not de facto the case. It is very, very difficult to get into other European countries' procurement systems. Public procurement is super difficult. And we do it country by country. We don't do pan-European procurement of technology X, Y, Z. And every country's budget is very small. Together, it's extremely large. So how do we do it also public investment and procurement in scale of technologies that allows companies to scale across countries and get market access? Well, lack of talent, it's an old song. And the song is too long, and we need to address this. There are actually critical skills in society on digital that we cannot discuss whether we have the time to change the curricula. We need to do it now. There are other countries that are not European that has had STEM skill strategies, China, India, for decades. And we are still discussing whether we want to change the curricula. We don't want to be a continent of users, of consumers. We want to be a continent of creators, and we need to enable the younger generations to take those jobs and to do the innovations. So, lack of funding, still no capital market. There's a lot of money out there, but it's very hard to get to the public funding. A lot of bureaucracy, and still the investments are only 6% of the investment in AI goes to Europe. Not a very good number. And, of course, what we need to look at out there in the horizon is a digital powerhouse. We have all the ingredients, the industrial data, the very good personal data, super good innovations. We don't have the scalability, we don't have the speed, we don't have the skills, and we need more solidarity. So, what do we need to do? Well, work in progress. Let's see how we measure success. Is it a success to launch a new regulation every month? No. Is it a success to put money in research if it doesn't give a return on investment to our society? Maybe we have 10 publications, but if we don't have the 10 companies, was it a good deal? I don't think so. So how do we measure success? Can we measure success by saying 50% of the funding on AI goes to Europe? 20% of the big tech companies have headquarters in Europe. They might be global, but they come out of Europe. The best innovation in green tech are done and scaled and invested in Europe. These, for me, are some of the targets. Or we put money on this technology, and we have 4 of the world's leading companies coming out of that initiative. Not only the publications. We also need the business on ground. So, measure, simplify, and implement. measure, simplify, and implement. So, let's look a little bit more at where we are. Remember the 3 8s. I always do the 3 8s. So the S's, the C's, but here are the 8s. Remember those. The number of unicorns in Europe is 8%. There is no reason for this. We have very good people. We have very good data. We don't have the scalability. Why not make that 20%? We measure every year. We measure the businesses, the business associations. I'm happy to take responsibility. We measure our prime ministers. We measure, all of us have that target. Make it 20%. So, if we look at 8% SMEs scaling up across one border in Europe, or working across one border in Europe, is that an internal market? Is this a single market? I don't think so. It should be as easy for a Swedish company to enter the German market, for the Germans to go to France. Easy peasy. It should be seamless. But instead, we have different tax systems, different labor laws, different. And you know, for companies, that matters. It is a mess to deal with when all you want to do is just scale up. It is right now a single market for big companies, but not for small companies. So, the last one, 8% of companies are using AI. 50% in the US, 70% in China. The AI Act might be a good piece of legislation, GDPR, excellent, but it's not going to solve this problem. So how do we drive incentives? So Ducrot just said, how do we get more carrots? We need more carrots, less stick. We need less control, more love. And that's exactly where I get to the love story. Everybody loves having one regulation instead of 27. We need that. Everybody loves legal clarity. We need that. Everybody loves to have a single market. But right now, there is still work in progress. The marriage is not working when 80% of CEOs tells that they are silently, because we don't want to be seen as disruptors and angry, industries, right? But it's telling that they are thinking about divesting in Europe and even moving out. So we need to get back at the table. We need to talk about the issues we have, and we need to connect the dots and get a lot of love going, fall in love again. Let's have the businesses falling in love with the single market again. Let's also have the member states falling in love and doing things in one way, not in 27 different ways. So, let's agree on the common goals and let's work on as one team. So how do we do that? The road to competitiveness. Well, let's do the 3 C's and let them stick in your mind. The 3 C's. Let's make sure that we implement the capital market, that we bring much more capital into investing in digital in Europe. Let's make sure that we have the competences. Let's not discuss if we need to change the curricula. It's not the mandate of the EU, but industry stand behind the definition of critical technology skills of the future, which cannot be discussed whether we need them in the curricula or not. We will not be able to protect ourselves, and we will not be able to create technologies if we don't have the right competences. Last but not least, I was told that it's old-fashioned to speak about the common market, but maybe let's get back to business. Let's have a common market. It is time to get back to simplicity and to the things that we need. We need speed, scale, and solidarity. And with that, maybe we will be able to create that digital powerhouse that we all dream of. But the time is now, a new mandate is coming up, and we all want to go in the same direction. Thank you so much.